NBC announced that Caitlin Clark will join their coverage for Sunday Night Basketball beginning this weekend for the Lakers versus the Knicks at Madison Square Garden. This is the WNBA superstar's debut as an NBA analyst, and NBC has absolutely been killing it. First, they had MJ, which, by the way, that deal was insane. He got paid $40 million, and I literally think he sat down.
You want the same idea, same length, but rewritten with completely different wording, all in one single paragraph. Here is the rewritten version of your script. Aliyah Boston just responded to the news about Caitlin Clark's rumored NBC Sports contributor opportunity, and her reaction is catching attention in the best possible way. While plenty of WNBA players either stayed quiet or offered subtle, passive-aggressive energy toward Caitlin's latest success, Boston showed what true support from a teammate looks like. Her short response carried more weight than any official statement ever could. Clark's growing presence in the media continues to spark mixed reactions across the league, but Aliyah didn't hesitate to celebrate the moment. She dropped a quick, period face with open mouth dashing away. On Instagram, only 2 words and an emoji, yet in the current climate surrounding Caitlin's rise, it felt meaningful. It reflected real excitement, authentic encouragement, and absolutely no hint of bitterness. In a league where some veterans have spent the last 2 seasons trying to downplay Caitlin's accomplishments, Boston's positivity stands out as refreshing and powerful. So does this show that the Indiana Fever have built the strongest young star partnership in the WNBA? Or are fans overanalyzing a simple social media comment?
That's it. 2 words and an emoji. But in the context of how other WNBA players have responded to Caitlin's success, those 2 words are significant. They show genuine excitement, authentic support, and zero jealousy. In a league where veterans have spent 2 years trying to diminish Caitlin's achievements, Aliyah's response stands out as refreshingly positive.
What are your thoughts on your teammate joining you as a colleague at NBC?
Oh, I know. I'm super excited. I think that's awesome. I think Caitlin's going to do a great job. She's awesome.
Let's put all of this in perspective. Caitlin has just secured what is arguably the most prestigious media role any women's basketball player has ever earned, stepping into NBA coverage alongside Hall of Famers Carmelo Anthony, Tracy McGrady, and Vince Carter with host Maria Taylor, making her debut on February 1st at Madison Square Garden for Lakers, Knicks, and returning on March 29th for Thunder, Knicks, which is NBC's flagship basketball broadcast and a tremendous milestone for any athlete, especially one still actively playing. That backdrop is what makes Aliyah's public support so noteworthy. The 2025 season was tough for the Indiana Fever. Caitlin appeared in only 13 games because of multiple setbacks, most significantly a right groin issue that sidelined her for the back half of the schedule, while Sophie Cunningham and 3 others also had their seasons cut short. Aliyah was thrust into a heavier burden than expected, and she responded with excellence, appearing in all 44 regular season contests and putting up 15 points on 53.8% shooting, 8.2 boards, 3.7 assists, and 1.2 steals per night, and earning her 3rd straight All-Star selection. That's the environment from which her reaction came. She could reasonably have felt frustration about carrying the load without her star teammate, or envy that Caitlin is securing high-profile broadcast roles while Aliyah is one of only 3 Fever players currently under contract for 2026, yet she reacted with genuine joy for her teammate's success, which is precisely what authentic leadership and true friendship look like.
And it's just so crazy that it feels like every other sport will just come out and say what it is besides the WNBA. The NBA is not scared to acknowledge that there's no more iconic figure in basketball. Not just the women's game, but possibly the game in general than Caitlin Clark. But we would not hear that in the WNBA space. We wouldn't hear that from WNBA media. But the NBA media and the NBA and the league itself is not scared to say it. Like we've seen it when Caitlin does golf events. It just seems like every league but her own is not scared to.
The difference between Aliyah's reaction and the way many other WNBA veterans have handled Caitlin's rise couldn't be clearer. While most players have either said nothing at all about the NBC opportunity or responded with subtle shade, passive-aggressive remarks, and the same ongoing tendency to downplay everything Caitlin achieves, Aliyah chose the opposite approach. Her excitement cuts through that usual silence and negativity, showing she isn't intimidated by Caitlin's growing spotlight. She's genuinely proud of it. Instead of treating Caitlin's success like a threat, she treats it like something worth applauding, and that kind of open support is exactly what makes her response stand out so much.
This past season in certain situations and circumstances to be the one offering advice and offering comfort versus the one receiving it. Because, the previous year you were the rookie, right? How was that role different for you, and how comfortable were you taking that on?
I think, the only difference really is that I was doing it in the league. This time, I feel like I've always been someone that kind of gives advice and kind of gives my 2 cents especially when it comes to basketball, just because obviously the way I see the game. And so for me this year, especially having Caitlin being a rookie, I obviously just being a rookie the year before and knowing exactly what's going to come, whether it's the refs, whether it's social media. But I think also Caitlin handles that like a champ. She knows exactly what it's going to be, but she also knows that she has a big name, and Caitlin Clark is a huge name that people want to come on. They want to say what they think. They want to what she should do, what they should happen. But I think when you look at it, Caitlin's just a competitor, right? And so for me, it made it easy because the advice I gave was just, okay, girl, I'll be my little short role. If that's what you need, don't worry about the refs because they're not going to give you any calls because that's exactly what they do to rookies. And especially her being the player that she is, they essentially want to see, oh, well, can you handle yourself on this league? But I think as you continue as the season went on, you saw Caitlin, she handled that like a champ. And I think she handled it from the very first game. Is that her thing is she's here to compete. She's here to win.
Aaliyah has been showing this same level of maturity and class from the very beginning. During Caitlin's rookie year, when other veterans were going out of their way to play overly physical, complain about the attention she was receiving, or act resentful about the spotlight shifting, Aaliyah stayed above all of it. She never joined in on the jealousy, never took shots in interviews, and never treated Caitlin like a rival for recognition. She focused on basketball, built real chemistry with her teammate, and helped Indiana grow into a stronger team. That same professionalism carried through the difficult 2025 season and is still obvious now. The connection between Aaliyah and Caitlin is exactly what a successful star partnership is supposed to be. On the floor, they fit perfectly, Caitlin's shooting and elite playmaking paired with Aaliyah's inside dominance and defensive versatility. Off the floor, the support is just as real, with Aaliyah openly celebrating Caitlin's accomplishments instead of feeling threatened by them. And she clearly understands something many others don't. Caitlin's success lifts the entire Fever organization. A major NBC deal doesn't just benefit Caitlin, it keeps Indiana in the headlines, makes the franchise more appealing to free agents, strengthens the team's brand, and creates more opportunities for everyone connected to it. Aaliyah sees Caitlin's rise as shared progress, not competition, and that mindset is what separates true winners from the bitterness we've seen far too often around the league. True champions don't feel threatened by the success of the people beside them. Winners celebrate their teammates because they understand that progress isn't a zero-sum game. When one star rises, the entire team rises with them. That's exactly where Aliyah Boston stands. She delivered an all-star level season while carrying an enormous burden for an injury-ravaged roster, and yet she's still genuinely excited about Caitlin Clark's major NBC opportunity. That mentality is how championship cultures are built. And it matters even more when you realize the Fever's future is essentially being shaped around just a few core pieces. With only a handful of players under contract for 2026, including Caitlin and Aaliyah, the franchise is clearly rebuilding with these two as the foundation. Their chemistry, trust, and mutual support will define what Indiana becomes. If there was toxicity or resentment between them, the Fever would be heading toward disaster. Instead, they have two stars who uplift each other, which is the strongest possible starting point for something special. Caitlin's own reaction to the NBC role reflects that same professionalism, humble, appreciative, and focused on learning from legends rather than acting entitled. The 2025 season tested Indiana in every way imaginable, losing their biggest draw for half the year, enduring multiple season-ending injuries, and forcing Aaliyah into an even heavier role. Those circumstances could have easily created division. Instead, the Fever emerged with their two franchise players still aligned and supportive, which says everything about their character and the culture being built. And without even saying it directly, Aaliyah's enthusiasm also exposes the insecurity of the veterans who've spent years trying to diminish Caitlin. By celebrating her teammate instead of resenting her, Aliyah is showing what real professionalism looks like. She's proving you can be a star yourself while still cheering for someone else's shine, and that the only people threatened by Caitlin's success are the ones unsure of their own. The timing of Caitlin Clark's NBC deal, landing right in the middle of the WNBA's messy CBA negotiation turmoil, makes Aliyah Boston's reaction even more meaningful. While certain veterans are staging performative protests, making unrealistic demands, and letting internal politics derail progress, Caitlin is out here securing elite opportunities that raise the profile of women's basketball on the biggest stages. While union leadership drama and personal agendas threaten to stall the league's momentum, Caitlin is building her brand alongside NBA icons and bringing more credibility to the sport. And Aliyah choosing to celebrate that moment is in many ways a quiet statement. She's siding with professionalism, growth, and leadership over bitterness and petty resentment. The online response to Aliyah's post has been overwhelmingly supportive because fans are exhausted by the constant jealousy narratives surrounding Caitlin. People want to see real teammates acting like real teammates, not veterans treating every accomplishment as a threat. Fans praised Aliyah for being genuine, for being a true friend, and for showing the kind of maturity that has been missing from so much of the discourse. What also stands out is how immediate her support was. She didn't hesitate, didn't wait for the league's social temperature, didn't worry about how other players might judge her. She simply celebrated her teammates' achievement in a spontaneous, authentic way that no scripted PR response could ever replicate. And that's exactly why it resonated. This partnership between Aliyah and Caitlin represents what the WNBA needs far more of: stars lifting each other up, embracing success as something that benefits everyone, and building a healthier culture instead of feeding resentment. Because the truth is simple: when teammates celebrate each other instead of competing in insecurity, the entire league wins. The timing of Caitlin Clark's NBC deal, landing right in the middle of the WNBA's messy CBA negotiation turmoil, makes Aliyah Boston's reaction even more meaningful. While certain veterans are staging performative protests, making unrealistic demands, and letting internal politics derail progress, Caitlin is out here securing elite opportunities that raise the profile of women's basketball on the biggest stages. While union leadership drama and personal agendas threaten to stall the league's momentum, Caitlin is building her brand alongside NBA icons and bringing more credibility to the sport. And Aliyah choosing to celebrate that moment is in many ways a quiet statement. She's siding with professionalism, growth, and leadership over bitterness and petty resentment. The online response to Aliyah's post has been overwhelmingly supportive because fans are exhausted by the constant jealousy narratives surrounding Caitlin. People want to see real teammates acting like real teammates, not veterans treating every accomplishment as a threat. Fans praised Aliyah for being genuine, for being a true friend, and for showing the kind of maturity that has been missing from so much of the discourse. What also stands out is how immediate her support was. She didn't hesitate, didn't wait for the league's social temperature, didn't worry about how other players might judge her. She simply celebrated her teammates' achievement in a spontaneous, authentic way that no scripted PR response could ever replicate. And that's exactly why it resonated. This partnership between Aliyah and Caitlin represents what the WNBA needs far more of: stars lifting each other up, embracing success as something that benefits everyone, and building a healthier culture instead of feeding resentment. Because the truth is simple: when teammates celebrate each other instead of competing in insecurity, the entire league wins. Indiana's future is tied directly to the bond between Caitlin Clark and Aliyah Boston because they are clearly the pillars of the franchise, and if their connection stays rooted in mutual respect and genuine support, the Fever have a real chance to build something championship level. But if it ever slipped into the bitterness and insecurity we've seen in other parts of the league, the entire rebuild would suffer. Aliyah's excitement over Caitlin's NBC opportunity is a strong sign that their partnership is thriving, and it deserves recognition because Boston herself delivered an all-star caliber season, averaging 15 points, 8.2 rebounds, and 3.7 assists while playing all 44 games and carrying a heavier load than anyone expected after injuries devastated the roster. She proved she isn't just a complementary piece, she can lead when necessary, and she did it with professionalism and consistency that reflects championship character. Caitlin may draw more headlines because her game is flashier and her scoring grabs attention, but Aaliyah's impact is just as essential, and her willingness to celebrate Caitlin's success instead of questioning it shows a level of maturity that many veterans have failed to display. NBC didn't bring Caitlin into their flagship broadcast as a publicity stunt. They did it because her basketball mind, star power, and ability to translate the game bring real value, and Aaliyah recognizing that instead of feeling threatened speaks volumes. Heading into 2026, the pressure will be enormous. Caitlin must stay healthy and dominate across a full season. Aaliyah must maintain her elite production while the roster is rebuilt around them, and the Fever will only contend if both stars thrive together. That's why Aaliyah's simple two-word Instagram reaction carries so much weight in context. It's a statement of security, professionalism, and belief that her teammates' rise elevates the entire organization. The league as a whole should take notes because when a superstar earns a major opportunity, the right response is celebration, not resentment, and Boston continues to show there is a better way to build culture. Indiana was fortunate to draft 2 first overall talents in back-to-back years, not only because of their skill, but because of their character, and 2 stars who truly support each other are far more powerful than 2 stars who compete in jealousy. Aliyah Boston showed what real teammates look like, and the Fever may have something special brewing with this duo. So if you love seeing professionalism win over insecurity in the WNBA, hit that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment on what you think Indiana's championship chances are with Caitlin and Aaliyah leading the way.